Hi, I hope all is well with you and that you're staying safe. It's almost a week since the beginning of Rosh Chodesh Elul, a week closer to Rosh Hashanah. And as we get closer to Yom Hadin, we are all seeking ways to bolster our level of tshuva. In this week's Parshas Shoftim, the Torah teaches us a major lesson in strengthening and understanding our ability of moving in a positive direction. The Torah reviews the laws of Arei Miklat. Klal Yisrael, when they entered Eretz Yisrael, were commanded to build and set up Arei Miklat, cities of refuge, for those individuals who unfortunately killed accidentally. And there was 3 Arei Miklat that was set up in Eretz Yisrael, and 3 Arei Miklat that was set up Ever HaYarden, on the other side of the Yarden. And as we know, there were 2.5 Shvatim that lived outside of Eretz Yisrael, Ever HaYarden, and 9.5 Shvatim who lived in Eretz Yisrael. And if you think about it, having 3 Arei Miklat in Eretz Yisrael and the same number on the other side of the Yarden, where only 2.5 Shvatim lived, doesn't seem to be mathematically sound. The majority of the Arei Miklat should be in Eretz Yisrael, where you had the majority of the Shvatim. Yet, there were 3 on each side. And Chazal answer this question by teaching us something very, very important. And they point out that the 2.5 Shvatim who lived Ever HaYarden were not isolated. They were living amongst Goyim. They were living amongst people that had a very different level of morality than Klal Yisrael. And therefore, taking life Ever HaYarden was not looked at as seriously as it should have been. And unfortunately, amongst the individuals, amongst the peoples that they were living with, there were many murders that took place, some accidentally, and some that weren't all that accidental. And therefore, they needed as many Arei Miklat as the 9.5 Shvatim needed in Eretz Yisrael. And Chazal point out the lesson for us is the aspect of Hashpas HaSviva, where we live and the individuals with whom we come in contact with. It's called Hashpas HaSviva, the effect of our surroundings. And it's a very, very difficult nisayon, but it's something that I think we all understand, even though it might be something that down deep we fight. We are affected by the individuals that we come in contact with. We are affected by our friends. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be negative. In fact, hopefully it's positive. Hopefully we have friends who boost us, who lift us up, who encourage us. But unfortunately, for too many of us, there are acquaintances that we have that perhaps move us in the wrong direction. The way people speak, the way people dress, the way people act, the places that they frequent, their entertainment, it has an effect on us. And what the Torah is teaching us is that we have to be very careful with our friends, with the individuals that we associate with. In many cases, they might be individuals that are thrust upon us, perhaps at work, but even at work, and we find ourselves in situations that are difficult, we have to be very careful with the socializing that goes on in between individuals. It's a challenge. It's a very difficult challenge, but it's a challenge that affects our lives, and we have to understand. Think about it. We all learned when we were in elementary school, although hopefully we learned it since then as well, in the Parsha dealing with Rivka's pregnancy, with Yaakov and Esav. When she passed by the Batei Medrash, it seemed that one of the twins wanted to get out. And when she passed the places of entertainment, etc. Another one of the twins wanted to get out. And she went and she asked, and she was told she was having twins. But the question is asked, if Yaakov, and we're told that while an ubar, while an embryo is in his or her mother's womb, they learn Kol Torah Kula with a malach. So if Yaakov had a malach, why would he want to get out even if he was passing a base medrash? And Chazal teach us, and they say that in spite of the fact that he was learning with a malach, look who his neighbor was. He was sharing a space with Esav, and he had to get out. He had to get away. And that's, as I mentioned, a difficult nisayon that we all have, but we have to be very careful. Our lives are too precious. We have too much at stake. And if we find the friends and we find the acquaintances that can be positive influences on us, look how much more we can gain from it. Mirz Hashem, the Rebbeinu Shalom should give us the understanding and the fortitude to do what's right, not what's easy. And Mirz Hashem, as we get closer to Yom Hadin, we should try to improve as many of our ways as possible so that we ultimately can become closer to those individuals that we so much would like to become. Have a wonderful day and a meaningful Shabbos.